If you want the world to love you, first work on loving yourself. I know this is very counterintuitive because if you want the world to love you, you want everybody else to love you. You don't really care how you feel about yourself. But what I'm going to try to explain in this video is that you might be looking at it backwards. And this is how exactly it was for me when I was looking for self-love. I thought it was going to come from the world around me. I thought it was going to come from external validation, and this was the exact wrong way to go about it. So I'm going to share some of my pitfalls and some of my obstacles on this journey, on my journey of finding self-love. And it all started with I just wanted the world to love me. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to fit in. And this is exactly where all my problems started from, because in order to fit in, as you might realize, in order to fit in our society, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your authenticity. You're going to have to sacrifice some of your beliefs. You're going to have to sacrifice some of your values. And the whole problem with this is that if you sacrifice your authenticity in order to fit in, you're basically telling yourself that you don't truly love your full, authentic, true self. And this is where you can kind of start to crumble and unravel. And that's where it started to happen for me. So when I really wanted the world to love me, I thought the way to do that was just to fit in and not make anybody mad and just do what everybody told me to and kind of just follow directions like that. And I've kind of realized that this whole game of playing it safe is just fear. It's just fear. It's not love. It's not my true expression. It's not your true expression either. Chasing love, chasing validation, that's not who you truly are. If you really want the world to love you, first you have to look within and start to love yourself. Because once you start to look within, once you start to go on the journey within, you're going to have a lot of limiting beliefs that come up. You're going to have a lot of fears. You're going to have a lot of insecurities, a lot of flaws, a lot of weaknesses that you're going to have to learn to face, maybe improve on a little, but not just learn to face, learn to love them. When you learn to love your own flaws, when you learn to love your own weaknesses, when you learn to love your own insecurities, that's kind of like a superpower. Honestly, what else can mess with you? Think about it. What are you most afraid of other people thinking about you? You're most afraid of them probably telling you what your flaws are, telling you your weaknesses, telling you that, say, you're ugly. You know, I'm kind of laughing at it now, but I used to really be sad when other people would tell me that I'm ugly, even if it was just like a joke, because I didn't truly love myself. If you want the world to love you, first turn within. And I really like this analogy of chasing love. If you think about maybe in a race or something, you're not running after love. Thinking about chasing love, chasing respect as something that's external, you're always going to be chasing it. It's always going to outrun you if you're of the belief that it's something that's out there that you have to go run after, or you have to go chase after, or you have to go do something, or you have to go be someone other than who you are. But what it really is that you have to just sit, maybe meditate for 20 to 30 minutes, just breathe in and out, and let it flow in and out of you. I know this sounds very abstract until you actually do it, but once you do it, you start to realize that your power, your love has always been within you. Once you start to build your own magnetic attraction, you start to love yourself for no other reason, for no success, for no accomplishments, for no status, for nothing ego-based. You start to love yourself just on the true basis of your existence, your fundamental level, your foundational level. Once you have that type of self-love, which it's simple sounding in theory, but if, like me, you didn't experience this love for the first 20, 21 years of your life, if you're always living in fear, it might take a while to peel that ego onion back, to peel back the layers, to face your insecurities, to face your fears, to face your flaws, to face your weaknesses. I know I just brush over this stuff. Maybe I'll make a more in-depth video about that sometime, but this stuff requires a lot of emotional labor. You have to go through a lot of emotional pain. There's a lot of emotional kind of stitching back together you have to do to yourself. Maybe some magic spells and potions. I love these analogies. Love the poetic analogies. But once you do that, not only is it extremely rewarding, but a lot of the negative stuff is on the surface. If you think about your ego as an onion, a lot of the negative stuff is on the surface. Then you start to get through to that. You start to get to the core, the layers of love and peace and acceptance. The problem is, not many people want to penetrate that negativity. Not many people want to go through this wall of insecurities and fears and weaknesses because they don't want to face up to them. They don't want to own up to them. Maybe they're afraid of them. Maybe they're afraid to admit that they're real. Maybe they are just unaware of them. That's another thing. They're unaware that these are actually their weaknesses in the first place. And what I've realized is that if you really own these weaknesses, if you really love them, that's probably doing 80 to 90% of this emotional labor, this emotional work to make loving yourself a true reality. And that was really all I wanted. All I wanted on my self-development, self-help, personal development, spiritual journey, all I really wanted was to, one, find the truth of life. I know it's pretty bold. And two, to love myself. Both of these things are pretty bold in our society. They're not really talked about that much. They're very underestimated, undervalued, underidentified. Why are they? That's a whole another story. Maybe they don't want us to know our true self. Maybe they don't want us to love ourselves. There's actually another side rant that I actually would love to talk about, is that it kind of seems as though society doesn't want you to love yourself. Society wants you to always be looking for external validation. Society wants to make you not love yourself so then they can sell you products that'll make you feel better. They want to make you seem as though you are not as good as somebody else, that somebody else is superior. You know, Kardashian is more attractive than you, so you got to buy their lip gloss or buy their makeup or buy whatever outfit they're wearing, the next coolest thing. And this kind of low consciousness marketing wouldn't work on people if they didn't truly make people believe that these people were superior. How do they do that? Because they have to make you not love yourself. And then you look up to these people like they're somehow better than you, even though deep down they probably don't love themselves either. They probably don't have much self-respect. I mean, how could they? Shilling all those products. But that's a whole different rant. But if you want love from the world, there's no reason in chasing it. There's no reason in running after it. You're never going to catch it. The way to do it is to work on being your true self, work on loving your true self, and it will come to you. And not it will come to you in a way that if you just sit around and do nothing and don't work on yourself, it probably won't come to you. You have to really, truly dig within, whether it's through journaling or creative expression like, I don't know, writing poetry or making music or meditating. Some people don't think about meditating as being creative expression, but if you've ever been in that state of meditation for 20 to 30 minutes, you will know what I'm talking about. There is a lot of creativity that's going on there, and there's a lot of self-love that's going on in that situation. But it's kind of like, if you see a lot of these celebrities that get famous, but then they're still empty, it's because they did this whole thing backwards. You first want to have this foundation of self-love within yourself, and then building off that self-confidence, adding to the world, spreading your love. It's basically that you want to fill up your own bucket or your own cup, that analogy. You want to fill up your own cup with this self-love to the point where it's overflowing, to the point where it's overflowing so much that if you don't share it with others, you're just wasting it. So I hope that analogy is potent, it's powerful. You can kind of visualize this, that you have this well of love. Maybe a well sounds better. You have this well of love within you, that your goal is to fill it up, not by seeking validation from outside you, not from chasing it, but from being with a capital B, being your true authentic self, expressing your authenticity, and reaping the rewards of that. So as you start to do this, you start to fill up your cup or fill up your well of self-love to the point where your cup is full, your cup is overflowing, where your natural inclination is that you want to share it with the world. You feel like you need to share it with the world. This is how it should be. In reality, it's pretty much the opposite. In the reality, most of the people, I'm obviously overgeneralizing, but I think this is mostly true. Most of the people that attain high levels of celebrity status, high levels of wealth, do it because they're very insecure on the inside. Ooh. Deep, 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 deep. Very shallow, very shallow. Very insecure on the inside. They want love. They want love, but they were trained in this ego, fear-based world that the way to find love is to suck it from other people, is to leech off of other people, to leech off of their energy and take it for yourself. The problem with that is, if you're a person that doesn't have much self-love, and then you become a pop star and you've got 50 million fans who all love and adore you, that is going to make you hate yourself even more, which is crazy to think about, which is why a lot of these people go through mental health issues. Obviously, there are probably other factors that go into being a big celebrity and having mental health issues. Don't want to say that it's just plain and simple like that, but if you don't have this level of self-love going into it, which a lot of them don't, because again, they're coming from this level of deficiency, it really messes with them. And then it might even get to the point where they had everything they ever wanted. All they ever wanted was a best-selling album, or all they ever wanted was to be famous, and then they got it, and they realized that it was empty, it was hollow. Everybody is just trying to fill this emptiness, this hollowness within them. The problem is, society and marketing and modern business tells you that to fill this hole that's within you, you got to do it by buying stuff. You got to do it from external validation. You got to get this hole filled from the outside world. That's the wrong way to go about it. That's the opposite way to go about it, yet that's the way 99% of us are taught to go about it. The way to go about it is to cultivate that self-love from within. And this isn't even to be delusional. It's not to say that you love yourself when you know that you don't. That's not how this works. The way this life works is that it is our natural state, it is our true authentic state to love ourselves. We learn to hate ourselves. Oh, gosh. Wow. That just got deep. That just broke through a couple layers within me. We learn to hate ourselves. We do. Where do we learn this? We learn this all around us. We learn this from TV shows that tell us that we're not that good because we don't look like that. We don't make this much money. From celebrities. It's all of this stuff. And I guess the whole point of this cycle is to get us to hate ourselves so they can take our power. And it's not like they, as it's some like big conspiracy. It's that if they take your power away from you, they can sell you stuff. They can make money. They can continue to run their business. That's just the system we live in. That's the low consciousness business model. The high consciousness business model is to get you to love yourself, and you don't need to buy all these products. You don't need to. If one way to love yourself, to get to love yourself, is to meditate for 20 to 30 minutes, sure, you could go buy a meditation app, which is kind of the, I don't want to like say that one path, again, spiritual arrogance, I don't want to say that one path is better or worse than others, but if it's fear-based selling and they're trying to tell you that, oh, you need to buy this meditation app in order to meditate and be enlightened, like that's just not true. You can tap in, you can do all this stuff without ever buying anything. And the truth is always going to be free. The truth is always going to be free. That's antithetical. That's the opposite to our capitalistic consumerism society. Ooh, a lot of big words there. But if you want the world to love you in whatever endeavor that you do, whether it's writing, whether it's speaking, whether it's singing, whether it's something professional, it doesn't even have to be professional. It can just be something like consciousness work. If you really want the world to love you, first, focus on loving yourself. Not in a selfish way, because when you focus on loving yourself, not your ego, yourself with a capital S, you realize that this self is not just you, not just your small ego. That doesn't really exist. That's an illusion. It includes every other person and every other thing in the entire universe. Your sense of self, which was once very narrow, which once just maybe extended to your body, now extends to your family. Your sense of self now extends to your community. Your sense of self now extends to your country. Some people let it stop there. Your sense of self then expands to the entire earth. Your sense of self doesn't just stop there. Your sense of self then expands to the solar system. I know saying this stuff, some of it sounds like it's pretty unrealistic, pretty abstract. That's how good we've got at tricking ourselves. That's how masterful we are at self-deception. We're so masterful at self-deception. This is crazy to think about. We're so masterful at self-deception that Somebody could just plain tell you the truth without any poetry or comedy or music or anything. Somebody could just plain tell you the truth about how life is, and you'd be like, nah, that's not it. That's too crazy. It is crazy because the world we live in right now is so ridiculously crazy. So ridiculously crazy. I think that the point of life is to love yourself, but it shouldn't be such a hard, long, arduous journey. I don't even know what that word means. I'm going to look that up. It just came to mind. It's not supposed to be some long, hard journey to love yourself. Loving yourself should come naturally. Loving yourself should come as an expression or as a result of expressing your true authenticity. The problem is, from an early age, we're taught to suppress our authenticity. Wow. So I guess the moral of the story, at least for me, is to realize that if you want the world to love you, first, not even first love yourself, but first find your true authenticity. What's the point of the world loving you if they're loving a mask? What's the point of the world loving you if you're wearing a costume and a mask and you're not really letting your inner light shine through? You just have this little veneer, this little curtain of what you want people to see, but then there's way more down on the surface, that all these flaws and insecurities that you don't want them to see, and you would be terrified if they ever came to the light. They're going to come to the light because of the fact that we're all one. There's really no such thing as a secret. Spoiler alert. There's no such thing as a secret because it always comes out. Ooh, it always comes out. It's really, if you try to get the world to love you by only showing them one side of you, by only showing you the good side and not showing all of the weaknesses and insecurities, people really love that stuff. People really love the weaknesses. People really love the insecurities. Me talking about how I lacked self-esteem and how I never had any self-confidence, that's a lot more relatable to people than me talking about meditating for 30 minutes and this whole abstract experience of realizing oneness and unity and feeling love in your heart. That's something that's experiential, that somebody has to really do an experience on their own. But something as simple as just lacking self-esteem, that's so relatable because so many of us lack self-esteem because it wasn't taught to us in school, because society is actively trying to take away your self-esteem. That's kind of what I think about it like. Society is actively trying to take away your authenticity. Just the way it's set up as a system. As a system, maybe it is good, maybe it is bad, maybe it is neither or neither. But if you're aware of this, and awareness is always kind of the big A awareness. Awareness is always the antidote. That's a good one. Awareness is always the antidote to solving these problems. So if you want the world to love you, first become self-aware. Tap in with yourself, tap in with your heart, tap in with your gut. Start to find out what your true authenticity is. I'm at this point where I've been on this kind of self-expression journey for a couple years now, and I'm only just starting to really scratch the surface of my authenticity. And I've dug very deep. And I know that after building this foundation of self-love within me for the last 2 to 3 years, now I'm able to be more confident when talking on camera and publishing this and not really care what people think about it, for the exact reason of that I already love myself. I have nothing to gain. It's that you want to be coming from a place of confidence, a place of detachment, not a place where you're desperate for results, that you really care that, oh, I really need people to like me and I need people to love this song and all that. That's the kind of energy that repels people away. The kind of energy that invites people in is that you're take a deep breath, you're calm, you're relaxed, and you're saying, this is who I am. I'm not going to change who I am for you, and I truly love myself. So I hope you love me, and we can love each other, and we can all be one. We can all be one giant love. I don't even know where this is going. It's all love. At the end of the day, it's all love. And if you want the world to love you, please first realize that it's all love. All of this fear, all this hatred, all this anger, it's just an illusion. It's just a deception. Deception, an egoic deception. It's not a deception by anybody out there. There's nobody to blame. It's a deception by you. It's a deception by me. we are deceiving ourselves. We are deceiving ourselves into thinking that love is something that is external. Love is something that is given to us by others. Love can be given to us by others, but it can only be given to us by others if we are willing to accept it. Ooh, that's good. Love can only be given to us, or it can be given to us, but it will only be received if we are able to accept it. It's going to be a lot harder to accept love from others if you don't have love within yourself, if you don't have self-love. And again, I think that comes back again perfectly to that point about celebrities who become celebrities because they don't really love themselves, but they're seeking validation, and they get all this validation, they get all this love, and people are giving them this love, and they're really unable to accept it. They don't really understand how to be with it because they're not vibrating at that level of self-love. They're kind of still vibrating at this level, this lower level of fear and desperation, and they're always just trying to do the next thing for attention, and that's really what it is. And attention is basically synonymous with awareness, synonymous with consciousness, synonymous with love. It's all about just getting other people's attention. Everybody just wants to be the center of attention. That could be another cool episode.